Yeah, Bullet Cast. What's going on? It's Teasy. This elite podcast in here. Ain't nobody better. Look. Yeah. Listen to us every time we live in the side. When you turn it on, it's just the
Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? You know the name, you know the voice, you know exactly why I'm here. I'm a California classic, a 25-year-old piece of gold, the X factor of podcasting, the greatest sports recreational podcaster in the world today, a multiple-time Bullet Cast champion, and I'm the microphone messiah. I'm probably going to be the $1 million messiah after the things we have to talk about today. But you know I never do it alone. He's my tag team partner, the Jim and my J, the Totem of Arn. It's Stevie Ray to my Booker T. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of the award-winning Under the Radar, host and creator of Curveballs and Chair Shots, the first ever and current reigning 12-time Bullet Cast champion, BT12, the Canadian Destroyer, Brandon Tanguma. Brandon, it's Thursday. You know what that means. Happy Canada Day, buddy.
Yes, Phillip, it is Thursday, and that means another episode of the Bullet Cast. Doing fantastic, except for it being some sort of, I mean, they say it's a holiday, but I mean, is it really a holiday? Just because you say
it's on the calendar.
There's so many like different, it's like National Cake Day or National Pet Day. I mean, come on.
I'm gonna tell you
one of those.
I'm gonna tell you this. It's on the calendar. All those little national pet days and all that stuff, it's not on a calendar. It's not on a regular calendar. The banks aren't closed.
I mean, I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone right now. I don't see nothing saying nothing about no Canada Day.
It's Canada Day. On the print on the regular calendars that you buy at the store, it says Canada Day on those. My grandma has one in her house.
Siri knows everything. Siri doesn't have it on her.
Siri doesn't know everything.
Siri knows.
I asked her a question. She said she didn't know.
Well, Siri knows everything, but
she said she didn't know.
But she's just plain coy.
No. She said she didn't know, and I was very offended that she didn't know the answer.
She just didn't think you could handle the answer.
I could handle the answer. I just needed a yes or no. That's all I needed. You know what? I'm gonna just start using a Magic 8-Ball. That's what I'm gonna do. Brandon, we have a new theme song that played us into this show. How do you feel about it? Soulful Boom. Shout out to monteasy. He did the theme song for us. Sammy Guevara. You know that Sammy Guevara for AEW. What are your thoughts?
It's a beautiful song. It's a nice, fancy song. New era, episode 230, switching things up a bit. It's been a big week here for the Bullet Cast, and not a new look in terms of logos or anything, but we got nice little fresh coat of paint, one might say.
We got the new little the new graphic, the dragon that throws us in there. The big things are happening, and this is the last week that we're doing this. Are you ready?
It's been a long time.
Yes, it's been
for the homie.
A number of months. HD for Life, socials, hd.4.life on Twitter and Instagram, HD for Life on teesprings.com. Designs, Get Her Done 1 and 2, Hurry Up 1 and 2, Mr. Sapa 1 and 2, H-Dog, Mother's Love, King H-Dog, H-Dog Dash, Get It, Mr. Pimpin', HD for Life Americana, Common Sense, Soldier H-Dog, Life Safety, HD for Life Safety, Lily's Love, HD for Life, Orange and Pink, Softball Life, Reunite, Generations, Little Renna, Lil H-Dog, Explode, Show Quality 1, 2, and 3, and so many others. They have drinkware, fanny packs, socks, hoodies, t-shirts, sweatpants, tank tops, face masks, tote bags, pillows, mugs, beach towels, posters, blankets, phone cases, stickers, and so much more. HD for Life, teesprings.com, Twitter and Instagram, socials, hd.4.life. There it is. Woohoo! Brandon, we did something this past weekend. We went to Lodi Con, got to hang out with West Ghost Design and his family, and just kind of seeing all the different knickknacks and stuff that he had and other people had at the convention. And we interviewed the $1 Million Man, Hall of Famer Ted DiBiase was on this show.
That's what I've been told. I might have blacked out. I might have, not remembered anything because, I was just so excited to do this. But we went to Lodi Con. It was like the first mass gathering thing I've really done. So that was fun. Some interesting characters were there, as always are at these Comic Cons. But it was a good time. A little hot, took a little time. Sometimes, when we did this last year at Stockton Con with Kelly, and shout out to all the independent wrestlers that we've done, but when it comes to like doing the bigger ones, I always get not nervous in terms of like, meeting them or anything like that. But I always kind of think like, oh, they're just going to big time us or they're not going to give us the time of day. But credit to Ted. He was very nice. He was, willing with his time. We got the go home queue at like 5 minutes, and it wasn't because we were taking up too long. It was because Ted was like rambling on and giving us quality answers.
Yeah, I did a podcast with Mike Miller, the president of Lodi Con and Baby Huey. Go check out that recent episode and the click when it drops. And we were off there. He's like, "Yeah, man, you got to wrap it up." I'm like, "Dude, Ted was telling the Andre story. I just let it happen, man. It was great." Shout out Mike Miller, man. I want to really give him his flowers. He didn't have to do that for us, with the Kelly interview and Ted DiBiase, but he has, and I thank him. I give him a whole lot of credit. Just a genuinely nice human being. I believe he's at West Coast Pro next week, so hopefully he is, and we can all chop it up and go to Nations or something, man. What's ironic? Not only I mean, you know what Kelly and Ted DiBiase both have in common?
24/7 champions.
Yes, back-to-back 24/7 champions. Hey, man, this is great. Who's next? I wonder whoever he gets at Stockton Con. I wonder if they're a former 24/7 champion. Actually, I know one of the guests that's going to be there, but I can't reveal it publicly.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it was great. Go check that out. It was awesome. It's one of my favorite things that I've ever done. Ted was so nice. He was just so warm. He asked me, "So how long you been watching wrestling?" I was like, "Oh, since like 2004. I grew up with like Cena and stuff." He was like, "When were you born?" I was like 96. He was like, "Kid, I was already out of the ring." But it was just fun, man. Shout out Ted. Love Mr. DiBiase. Stay tuned. He's coming back to NXT. That's the kind of vibe I was getting. But Brandon, there were more WWE releases. Let's talk about that.
There were more WWE releases, mainly them from the 205 Live / NXT area, but 205 Live is still going to be a thing because they'd be making some money off of that show. But we're just going to run through it real quick. Phillip, if you have any thoughts on these wrestlers, just intervene. The first one, maybe one of the bigger ones here, Fandango and Tyler Breezango are no longer with the company. Both longtime WWE wrestlers. Fandango's been there for since the mid-late 2000s, and he is finally gone, unfortunately.
Sorry, I was eating.
Eating.
I was, yeah. You got to keep talking. You see me eating? What are you doing?
Well, I'm not. I mean, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the screen as I'm reading off.
Okay.
Millions and millions of names. But, R.I.P. Breezango.
R.I.P. Breezango, man. I mean, the Tyler Breeze one really hurt me because the gimmick was over. The supermodel, the pretty boy. I mean, he was trusted to work Jushin Thunder Liger at TakeOver. I mean, and when he got to the main roster, he had his little feud with Dolph. I'm like, okay, I could see them putting the Intercontinental title on him, which I thought they should have done. I think, looking at it, he would have been a great Mr. Money in the Bank. Don't know if he would have cashed in successfully, but I think he would have been a great smarmy heel like he was in NXT. Never really got his just due in NXT, in the singles capacity. I mean, he was in main events and he was having banger matches with Neville and Sami Zayn and Tyson Kidd and all those guys. But I mean, he goes back down after a very interesting stint on the main roster with Fandango. They win the NXT tag titles. They become relevant again. The Fashion Police stuff was great, but I'm really hurt. I mean, I love Fandango too, but I'm really hurt at the Tyler Breeze release.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Breeze, he was always the solid, maybe not veteran hand of NXT, but he was always there in the mid card having good matches, had the Jushin Liger match, which was fun. And then he goes up to the main roster, never really got to do much. It was almost like the typical, he's, one note gimmick that Vince likes to do. And then when they did the Fashion Police skits, that stuff really was getting over. And then it just kind of abruptly came to an end for really no reason. I don't even remember if they had a payoff for the Fashion Police. And then they go down to NXT, had some issues with them kind of being pushed so hard so quickly because they were such jokes and jobbers in WWE. But I mean, for what they were, they had really good matches in NXT, and the tag team division is kind of lacking enough as it is. So yeah, I mean, Fandango got super over for 6 months, a year after WrestleMania 29 when he beat Chris Jericho, one of the biggest WrestleMania upsets of all time.
My friend Chris Jericho. Let's not forget that.
Sorry,
Happy
your
Canada
friend.
Day, Chris.
Your
Love
friend
you.
Chris Jericho. Moving on, we got Tony Nese. He Cruiserweight Classic 205 Live guy. He's big, jacked, and muscular. And Arya Davari and August Gray. So, kind of those guys, a lot of 205 Live names. Phillip, anyone? I mean, Tony Nese is probably the big one, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he was the most muscular. I don't know. Like everybody wants to say, "Oh, AEW, no, bro." Look, that X division, man. I mean, could you imagine just like Tony Nese but I've thrown Buddy Murphy's name out there for the X division, and Josh Alexander and TJP and Ace Austin, like all those guys just tearing it up in like a Ultimate X match or a Fatal 4-Way or singles competition, stuff like that. Even branch out, man. Like go to Ring of Honor, see what they're up to. I mean, I've been watching their stuff over the last like 6 months of the pandemic era, and I mean they put on very good quality matches. I think Jonathan Gresham versus Tony Nese would be an awesome spectacle, So yeah, I think Tony Nese out of this most recent releases of the Cruiserweight guys, I think he'll be the one to make it. That's not a knock to Arya Davari. I was very entertained by his in-ring skill set as well.
Yeah, I mean, I every one of these guys and woman on this list are very talented in their own ranks. I mean, I agree. I think Tony Nese out of kind of the cruiserweight guys or maybe the one to stand above. But in total, I think no one, if you're AEW, I'm always the one that says you don't want to, scoop up every single WWE person. But the one person that I think I would take a look at if I'm AEW would be Killian Dane, Big Damo. He has a distinct look. He is a really good wrestler, never really got his just due on the WWE. He was never terribly treated. He never really got an opportunity. So he doesn't kind of have that sort of stink like Fandango, Breezango would have. So out of everyone on this list, I think he's the one guy if I'm AEW I'd look at.
Hey, excuse me. Oh God. Hey man, we're big Damo fans. We were talking about him before he even got to WWE. Remember when we were covering the What Culture Pro Wrestling World Cup all those years ago? Yeah, man.
Of course. I mean, I watched him in those What Culture videos, and
yeah, he was their champion over there. So yeah, we've been fans of Killian Dane, Big Damo for a very long time. I want to see him do very well. I want him to go to Impact. Why? Eric Young is there. They could tap into that history. The Big Damo being the guy to try to take out Violent by Design. I think that would be something interesting. He goes through each member until he finally gets to Eric Young, and they could build that to a pay-per-view. That'd be a nice mid-card match.
I think out of everyone on this list, Killian Dane, I mean, he's the one I would want to go to AEW. He's the most talented, has the most upside. He has such a distinct look, and he never really was able to do what he could do in WWE. He could go back to the UK scene. He is married to what's her name? Super Nikki Cross. So
Nikki Ash now.
Nikki Ash, sorry. So, maybe he doesn't want to go over there and spend extended long periods of time over in the UK while she's here in the States. But I think no matter where he goes, he will thrive. Moving on, we get Everrise, who are a jobber tag team to NXT. And they were really hitting their stride in NXT recently. They had the coffee mugs, and they were just idiots and stooges. And I think this is one of the instances where maybe WWE and Vince and that whole corporate area isn't in great communications with Triple H, because Everrise was super over. They were, fantastic. I really liked what they were doing. They had a match this last week on NXT, and then they get cut, which I don't know if Triple H knew this 2 weeks ahead of time, that he would be giving them the same amount of television time and, energy. So, I mean, we'll talk a little bit about Vince going to the PC later, but I think the Everrise situation is kind of one of those things where maybe the left hand isn't always talking to the right hand.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't really too familiar with Everrise. I'd probably seen a little bit of their stuff. I wasn't really tapped into them. But hey, I mean, go to Ring of Honor, man. Like I keep saying this, that tag team division needs to have some great tag teams as well, man. But everybody can't go to AEW. Go to NWA. Feud with who are the tag champs? Kratos and Aaron Rex, the former Damian Sandow. Go feud with those guys. Do something else. or go to Japan. Do something different. Just be different. Not everybody has to go to AEW. Yeah.
But everyone's going to AEW. Kurt Stallion, he never really got a chance. He was kind of an Evolve guy who got absorbed when Evolve went under or bought out, however you want to say it. Really linked to Matt Riddle. They never really were able to do anything. He had like a match at NXT, did not go very well. So, had a cup of coffee. He was there throughout the entire pandemic, and he was only really given one opportunity. The Bollywood Boys, Sunil and Samir Singh, another one of the bigger names on the list. They haven't done really much of anything on the main roster in a while. They're obviously most known with Jinder Mahal, but Jinder Mahal got an upgrade. He got bigger, Indian bodyguards.
Hey man, the Bollywood Boys, they were an integral part of the Jinder run. Happy Canada Day, Jinder. Love you, man. To Jinder's title run. Like I have respect for those dudes. I want to meet those dudes in person and just chop it up and be like, hey, you brought credibility to the modern day Maharaja. I love those dudes, man.
Then we get Arturo Rujas and Marina Shafir, two names who honestly could have and probably should have been with Dynamite and Roderick Strong. Marina Shafir, Roderick Strong's wife. Arturo Rujas, I believe, was like actually drafted or like a part of Raw Underground, but yet he never really got a fair shot. He was in NXT for a little bit. He had the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background. I kind of enjoyed him. I thought he had something that they could have tapped into, but it just never really happened. Marina Shafir, for Horsewomen, now that Ronda Rousey's gone, she's gonna have a baby. Congratulations. We've seen her, Jessamine Duke are gone, and now Shayna Baszler's feuding with a doll. So
yeah, Marina Shafir, she was an interesting one, man. Because like if you watch some tapes from some NXT house shows, she would accompany Roddy and Kyle O'Reilly, Undisputed Era, out to the ring, and was like, okay. There were heavy rumors that they were going to put her in there, make her a female member of the UE, and I was like, oh, that'd be interesting. And you could tell she had the charisma, obviously, with them because she hangs out with them, and Roddy's her husband. But hey, she'll bounce back. Maybe she'll get back into mixed martial arts. Maybe she'll make a run on the indie scene, or maybe she'll just be a mom. Like, we don't know, but I think she'll be fine. All these people will be fine.
Then finally, Tino Sabatelli, former football player.
He's an interesting one, man. He was with the company, got released, went over to AEW for a little bit, and then left there and came back to the company, came back to WWE.
So he's AEW bound, right?
Again?
Yep.
He could be the first to just jump back and forth.
So let's see. He signed with WWE in 2014.
Yes.
And he teamed with Riddick Moss and I can't remember. And then he was cut in April, and then he re-signed in October. And in between time, he had a match on AEW Dark.
Yes.
Well, anyways, then finally, this wasn't a part of maybe it was a part of the whole thing, but we have a WWE writer was released, and this is kind of a controversial topic. Kenneth Mobley, she is a comedian writer. She didn't know anything really about wrestling, not a big wrestling fan, but WWE knew that and hired her. She went on a podcast. She even talked about it, that they asked, she wasn't asked to know anything about wrestling. They still hired her. She is a Black woman, and forever, whatever that might play into people's thinking and everything of that nature, Phillip, she gets fired, released before even really starting the job. I know you got some things to say. I got some things to say as well. Your thoughts on her departure?
Yeah, I heard like a little. I read the snippets of the thing, and I could play you my boy Wilkins from the Jobber Tears podcast. He was not happy. He was not happy about this at all. Look, she said Bobby Lashley was like Bobby Ashley or something. I think that's the champion's name. There are a couple things here. One, like if you get a big job like this, like like try to learn. Just try to learn some things. Do some homework, And the IWC was like, oh, she doesn't know anything about the business. She shouldn't be there. There was a writer, I forget his name, but in 2001, that was a hot year in WWE. Those were some good storylines. One of the head writers at that time wasn't just Brian Gewirtz, it was some other dude, and he didn't know a damn thing about wrestling, and that stuff was good. Okay, so we don't know. Maybe she could have truly been something. I don't know. It's unfortunate that she was released because of these comments. You have to really assume that's why she was let go, and people have been attacking her because of her race, and I'm just like, her race has nothing to do with this, you know. She was hired because of her merits and her writing ability. Now, should she have done some research? Yes, sure, absolutely. You know, just like kind of look up like what's going on in the company today. You know, you don't have to know what happened like in 1979, or you don't have to know when Hogan beat the Sheik. But you just like know what's going on in the current product. You know.
So I don't like have any ill will towards Miss Mobley because, as she said, she was upfront. She said she didn't know anything really about wrestling. She wasn't a wrestling fan, but still, WWE hired her because of her comedic writing ability and the time she spent in television doing that. And you don't need to be like a wrestling aficionado to be a good writer for wrestling. All she has to do, like what her job in theory would be to be the comedy writer. So she just writes good comedy, which WWE desperately needs to write good comedy because the comedy they have right now is not comedy. It's not funny at all. I like my comedy to be funny. Philly.
You just call me Philly?
I guess that's your new name now.
I mean, my little cousin calls me Philly. My friend's mom calls me Philly.
I've been doing some football articles, and I was just writing about the Philadelphia Eagles, so that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
This one girl in high school used to call me Philly. That didn't go well. Oh God. Look, man, there's one project in wrestling history that just goes to show you don't need to be a fan to write good television for wrestling. Do you know what that program was?
WCW Thunder.
Lucha Underground. Yeah. Those guys writing that, they were writing it in soap opera novella style. But it was good. The storytelling was good. The matches were, we already know the matches were awesome and amazing and great. But yeah.
Yeah, and WWE hired her knowing she didn't know anything, and then when she made it public, when I think everyone kind of already knew it. And the other thing is, because she's a comedy writer, this is on a podcast, I was also wondering, like, was this a bit? Like, did she? I mean, she probably knew Bobby Lashley's name was Bobby Lashley. She was just making it funny. And maybe it didn't go over too well. And, some people take wrestling a little too seriously. And it was almost like WWE wasn't mad that she didn't know wrestling. They were just mad that she was so upfront and open about it, which makes no sense. Like you're mad at her for just being herself, which kind of rubs me the wrong way. So I'm more mad at WWE, honestly, than at the writer.
I mean, it is what it is, man. She could bounce back. People be like, "Oh, she wrote for WWE. All right, let's snag her up." You know, you never know.
I think she will be fine writing for whatever next comedy television show or movie wants her.
I hope she writes for some comedians I know. I mean, a lot of the comedians I know, they write their own stuff, but like maybe like pitch in, help out. I think that'd be nice.
Vince McMahon, big Dave Chappelle fan, so that means Phillip is a Dave Chappelle fan now.
No. Look. Like Wale once said, "I'd rather job than let my morals expire." No, I'm sorry, I can't do it. If he was at like a Chris Tucker a little comedy thing, or even a I don't know who else is big.
If he was at Kevin Hart, then that's just.
I mean,
Kevin Hart is the GOAT.
Kevin Hart's not the GOAT. He's good for right now. He's on top. He's the best right now. But if we're talking GOAT, we're talking like Bernie Mac, bro, or Richard Pryor. Actually, I think Bernie Mac's my favorite comedian of all time. I'll say Bernie Mac is the GOAT. Can you disagree?
I mean, I would have gone with either Dave Chappelle or Richard Pryor, but that's just me.
But Bernie, my sister. Have you never seen the My Sister's Kids stand up?
Or even Eddie Murphy back in the day was pretty good.
Eddie Murphy was great back in the day, raw and delirious. But have you never seen Bernie Mac, My Sister's Kids? I
mean, great Bernie Mac show. I mean, it's just great. Have you seen Dave Chappelle stand-ups? Have you seen Dave Chappelle show?
I've seen it. I'm not just saying I don't like him and like never have watched his stuff. I'll watch something and be like, "Oh, this isn't for me." I'm not one of those where I'm just like, "Oh, I don't like that." Have you seen it? No.
I mean, I didn't say I didn't like it. I just haven't seen it.
I know. I'm gonna send you the link, and we'll do some homework. We'll come back next week. I'll put it on the script for next week, and we'll see how you like it. Yeah. So Vince McMahon is supposedly going to be at the Capitol Wrestling Center today, scouting out talent. I believe Bruce Pritchard and Johnny Ace John Laurinaitis is going to be accompanying him, and I think people are going to be on their A game. When the big boss is in town, people were like, "Oh, Vince is probably going down there to see what Triple H is doing with his money." I don't know, man. I mean, the main roster they need to freshen up some things. We talked about this on End the Click. I mean, you have people that can be something like that. Parker Bordeaux, the tatted Brock Lesnar lookalike. I think he could be something. I've never seen him in the ring, but just by the look alone, he looks like he could be something. Now he could be the drizzling ish. We don't know. Rick Steiner's son. He was a collegiate standout, so it's in his blood. I think he'll be fine. I don't know who Vince would take up. Like not the core of NXT. Not your strong, not like the Undisputed Era guys. Not like Thatcher or Tommaso or Johnny. Most likely Bronson after given what happened to him and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on Vince going to the Performance Center today?
It's really interesting why Vince McMahon has to go out of his way to go down to the Performance Center, because wasn't the entire reasoning for the Performance Center is to have all these live feeds and cameras and things of that nature that feed right to Stanford, so Vince can just look at everything from his own office, and there's an NXT show that he can watch. Like, it's not like there's nothing that he can see.
Maybe he just wants to be there in person and talk to the people. What's wrong with that?
I mean, it just seems kind of like unnecessary.
It would be like back in the day when like your principal would like randomly come into your classroom and everybody be on their best behavior. You remember those days?
What are you talking about, Phillip? I'm always my best behavior.
Okay.
I was a good student.
You're not on your worst behavior?
No, I'm a good boy.
Okay, I see. But you get what I'm saying, right?
I mean, I understand why he's doing it. And Vince, being the old school guy he is, he probably wants to go there and maybe kind of, maybe flaunt himself and kind of intimidate the kids and see exactly what's going on. And I mean, it's the Performance Center. What is he going to know? What is he going to like be impressed by? They're just working out. They're like doing things. It's not like a show where, like, if you just watch NXT or if you see them do promo classes, like what is seeing them doing practice wrestling matches in a ring going to show you, or doing deadlifts or working out? What does that show?
You're going to see the skill set, man. You're going to see improvements. You're going to have Norman Smiley and Terry Taylor and Matt Bloom in Vince's ear be like, yeah, this guy's really come a long way in the last like year and a half or a couple months, man, and stuff like that. Vince is just trying to get an idea, he's just trying to get the wheels turning for eventual stuff,
Or you can have a conference call and they tell him who's impressive, and then he like goes and watches the tape.
But he wants to be there. What's wrong with him being there in person? He owns it. Who cares? He can go there if he wants.
But if he was like, keeping on top of things and like doing this constantly instead of just, looking around and be like,
he's running $1 billion corporation
that has a minor league system that he should probably keep track of.
What? Look, man, there are other things, like he has to worry about storylines for Raw and SmackDown. He has to worry about, the shareholders and the board of directors and all the other deals that they have going on, and the network deals. It's okay if he doesn't like tap into what's going on.
It sounds like he's really busy, and maybe if he should just focus more on like the business side of things, and maybe just have someone, I don't know, like Paul Levesque take over for, like maybe some of the more on-screen wrestling things.
Well, Triple H is busy with NXT, so that's not going to work right now.
Oh, so he's too busy, but Vince isn't too busy.
Look, Vince was probably like, all right, I'm going to make a day of this. Let's see what we have. That's probably all this was.
And they're just going to have like 5 different Omoses just running around Raw now.
No, that you think they have just like 5 large black men running around there? Is that what you're telling me?
They have 5 large men and women probably running around there.
Okay. The Rock's daughter's running around there. Maybe she gets the call up.
It would not shock me if Vince didn't even know that she was there.
I think Vince is more tapped in than we're led to believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened on SmackDown, Phillip?
The Rated R Superstar came back. Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns are in the ring. Paul's going over all the people that Roman beat, and Roman's about to speak, and then you think you know me. It hits. Roman looks like he's seen a ghost. Edge comes out there, starts going after Roman. Jimmy Uso comes out. He gets laid out, and then Edge spears Roman. And then in a .com exclusive, we see Edge go to Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, and Edge says, I want the match I was denied at WrestleMania. I want Roman Reigns one-on-one at Money in the Bank for the Universal Championship. And it's been made official.
Yeah, kind of rushing to this match, which makes me wonder what exactly is the payoff for this. Do they have something go down and we see a rematch at SummerSlam? Or does something happen? John Cena is inserted into the SummerSlam match, which is what kind of almost everyone's expecting. Or does Cena move over to Lashley on Raw and we see Edge, Roman at SummerSlam in a rematch, which, I mean, it's still going to be a good match. People are going to be invested, but if you wanted to make the most of it, shouldn't have that been the first time at SummerSlam?
Well, look, it's the first time back with fans, so they want to do something big. I understand. I think Edge is working Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, though, I believe.
So they're going to do that. So they're going to have the one Edge match, and then something or another happens, because I would assume they're going to go back to him, because Cena's just a one-off at SummerSlam. You're going to want to go back to that Edge match for the fall.
Well, I think Rollins will get involved in a way that costs Edge the championship or costs him another opportunity, and then Edge turns his sights on Seth. I don't know how they're going to get there, but I think that's the plan.
And then Seth, I think, has had a little bit of interactions with Roman that he wants to be the champion. I mean, in this current state of Seth Rollins at the moment.
You watch Talking Smack?
Of course. I mean, my girl Kayla's on there.
Well, that's actually Jimbo's girl, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, we're not going to talk about that at the moment.
Oh, okay. I know you, him, Graham from the Public Enemies podcast. All y'all fighting over Kayla, bro. I see y'all.
Triple threat match.
Oh, now you want to be in a triple threat match. Look, listen. On Talking Smack,
when the stakes are worth it, when it's a good story and it's well deserved.
On Talking Smack, Seth Rollins. It was his time to be on there, and they completely cut him off to say that Edge and Seth Rollins or Edge and Roman Reigns are going to be wrestling at Money in the Bank for the title, and the look on his face was like, "Did you guys really just cut me off?" So I believe he'll be getting involved. I think over the next couple weeks, like Seth will have moments to like be like on TV, and Edge will just kind of interrupt him and stuff like that. I believe that's what's going to happen.
We need to see I would almost say a hard reset of the Seth Rollins character, but it's almost kind of hard to do that unless you just completely, I heard someone talk about just have him come out first show with fans and just completely just not acknowledge what happened with him during the pandemic. Just be like, you know what, guys, it's been a rough year and a couple months. That wasn't me. I've kind of shaken out of it. And then
he kind of said that when he came back with this drip character. He said that his daughter changed him and all that other stuff.
But he's still an obnoxious, over the top heel.
But that's where he excels, though. Seth is so good.
Is he excelling?
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. I mean, what are the two most talked about things on SmackDown? Roman Reigns, obviously, and then Seth's drip. Seth's drip, and plus, they can tap into the time that Seth Rollins held his foot on Edge's neck and tried to kill him. So I mean, there's something there.
There is something there, Rob.
We have a lot more things to talk about, though. Outside of the ring, the BRP 50. Brandon, do you know what this is?
Is that the Black Pro Wrestling 50?
This is by the Black Wrestling Podcast. I love those dudes. Shout out to them. So they there's the PWI 500, but they do one specifically for African Americans. And I'm just going to read you the top 10. So number 10, Apollo Crews. Number 9, Kofi Kingston. 8, Rich Swann. 7, MVP. 6, Montez Ford. 5, Chris Bay. 4, Biggie Langston. 3, Bianca Belair. 2, Bobby Lashley. And who do you think number 1 is?
I mean, if it's number one, it's probably an obvious one, and I'm just not. It's not coming to mind.
Yeah.
I don't know who's
Sasha
number
Banks.
one.
Yeah, so I mean, like,
I mean, I would probably put Bianca over her.
I know they're doing it from kind of like a kayfabe standpoint,
and Bianca beat Sasha at WrestleMania, so in a kayfabe standpoint,
well,
Bianca's better.
not even. I don't even think it's like kayfabe like PWI does. I think it's just who's performed well over the course of like the year in between when they do this. They release it on every Juneteenth, and going from last year's June to this one, you might have to say Sasha, man. I mean, she was one of the MVPs of that of the Performance Center era of television. I mean, the stuff she did with Bailey and the tag titles and the Raw Women's Championship and Asuka and the match with Io Shirai and moving over to SmackDown, having that feud with Bailey and winning the SmackDown Women's title, beating Carmella. Yeah, man, she was good. She was very good. And then they have like an after. They have like a list for people that couldn't make it. And I mean, like I enjoyed. I enjoyed this list. Go check out the Black Wrestling Podcast. Go check out their Instagram. They have the total 50 here, and it's some good stuff, man. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of them. I love what they do. They do good work. Ricochet was number 40. Maybe if his career was a little better on TV, he would have been higher. But yeah, you never know.
I would put Lashley number one, Bianca 2, then maybe we can put Sasha 3. I think what Lashley and Bianca have, I mean, especially Lashley has had a unbelievable year.
Well, when did it really pick up though?
I mean, you can go back to the Lana Rusev stuff. He was like pretty much undefeated since then, and that was like late 2019. So if you just take from June to June, he was.
Well, if we look from
and he was a U.S. champion.
Well, if we look from June to June, he had that one match with Drew at Backlash, and then he lost, and then he wasn't really doing much until like he won the U.S. title in the Hurt Business. Okay. And then, you skyrocket into the WWE picture. So we're looking at not even like a 12-month thing, more like a 5-month thing.
I mean,
4 to 5.
When was the last time we've seen Sasha since WrestleMania?
I mean,
we haven't.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
Look, if you want to know the difference, you got to hit them up.
I mean, Lashley was a part of the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business was one of the best things during the pandemic.
You gotta ask them why
he was pretty much undefeated the entire time. He wins the U.S. title, wins the WWE Championship. Yeah, it might have been, it's been 3-4 months of that, but I'm not trying to be recency bias here, but if we take it from June to June, he's been undefeated, and he's been U.S. champion and WWE champion, and he was there the entire time. Sasha wasn't, and Sasha wasn't as dominant as Lashley was. If we're going strictly kayfabe,
she wasn't as dominant. She was the world champion and the world tag champion at the same time. That's dominance. What are you talking about? She was in multiple segments on TV carrying the show. She went down
like
to
Lashley in the Hurt Business.
Okay.
Whatever Sasha's did, Lashley did pretty much the same thing. Was there the entire time.
He was the world champion and world tag team champion at the same time. He did that.
I mean, he didn't do that.
Well, you said pretty much the same.
I said pretty much the same thing. That doesn't mean everything.
Look, how about I send an email, we get those guys on here, and then we can have this debate. What do you say?
Yes, we're gonna have the one non-black person, try to stand up for the Black Power rankings. This is gonna go well.
All right, so Cody Rhodes launched his own podcast, Everything But Wrestling Podcast, where he talks about his fandom of Star Wars and Star Trek and everything in between. I've heard the first couple minutes. It sounds pretty good. Shout out to Cody, the new father. His birthday was yesterday. Happy belated birthday, Codester. Good stuff. All right, Jericho's new book. I have it right here. 30 years of smashes, matches, and hits. The complete list of Jericho. It has every match he's ever had, rare photos. I've been reading it. I've read the foreword written by Alex Marvez and Tony Khan, the introduction by Le Champion himself. It's all great, man. It's all great. Brandon, name a number between 1 and 2,700. How many matches did he say he had? It was 2000 something.
333.
333. All right. Are we ready? Let's see. 333. Dun, 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 dun. We're almost there. 333.
Great audio. Great.
It is great audio. 333. Okay. It was a win. He was tagging with Lance Storm, and they beat Brian Logan and Steve Dunn. The crowd size was 300. He got paid $250, and it was in Morrisontown, Tennessee.
So I guess we got a Smoky Mountain show.
Yeah, this was June of 1994.
Ooh, just a month before your boy was born.
Do you know who his 84th match was against? He's been on the show.
Ted DiBiase.
Nope.
Kelly.
He has been on the show. This match happened before both of us were born.
Baby Huey.
Shane Cody.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's OG Bullet Cast stuff right there.
I know. Hayward, California, 1992, baby. All right. The Austin 316 promo last week was the 25th anniversary. Talk about your Psalms. Talk about your John 316. Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass. Where does it sit 25 years later from that beautiful building in Milwaukee? How do we remember it? Sam Roberts, he was doing this thing on his podcast where he talks about that. Then he goes over the greatest promos of all time. Maybe we should do that for a separate podcast. But Brandon, 25 years later, what are your thoughts on Austin 316?
Still an iconic promo. It's probably the one promo that you can kind of point to of Stone Cold's career. For me personally, it's not like my favorite Stone Cold promo ever. Like I like him more, in his, later years, 97, 98, kind of that era of Stone Cold. But it's an iconic because it starts it off. Obviously, the Austin 316, highest selling wrestling shirt of all time, yada, yada, yada. It's iconic because it's the first. Is it the best? Probably not. But just what it meant for Austin, getting the King of the Ring, getting catapulted to superstardom after that. And he was still a heel. He was still, kind of meandering in the upper mid card. And it wasn't exactly, it was clear that people were really getting behind him, but it wasn't as clear as what he would eventually become.
You put an S in front of Hitman. That's my exact thoughts about Bret Hart. I've always liked that one. I know you like it because you hate Canadians.
Yep, all of them.
Whoa.
All of them.
I'm an honorary one. You hate me?
You're not an actual Canadian.
Okay. What if I get actual Canadian citizenship? Like, what if I get legal documents that say I'm a Canadian?
That's when I leave the podcast.
Whoa, you would really leave, bro? Well, all right, what if I got rid of the Canadian flag on the title and put, some other flags?
What do you think the first thing I'm doing when I see that thing next Friday?
Hey, hold on. I paid a lot of money for this. Don't. I may not even bring it now. It may just sit here. I might bring the East.
I'm going to go NWO and just spray paint it.
Please don't. Please don't do that, dude. I paid a lot of money for this. WWE has been releasing a list of the 50 greatest tag teams of all time because it's been 50 years since tag teams have been a thing in WWE. Do we have the list? Do we have the list?
That's code for Phillip telling me to bring up the list, even though I don't have the list.
You do not have the list.
Well, because someone didn't tell me to bring out the list. Because I do everything around here. Once again, I do everything around here.
Nobody said you.
Let's see. WWE. Okay, this is from them, from the horse's mouth. I don't want a video. I just want to see a list. Come on, people.
They don't just have lists?
Well, I just clicked on the first thing I saw.
Okay.
All right, Bleach Report. You better have what I'm looking for. Who's number 2? Oh, Hardy Boy is number 2. Okay, but who's number 1, Phillip?
The New Day.
Yes, the New Day.
Yeah, I think.
I just get a comprehensive list. I don't need, just give me a list. How hard is this?
Yeah, I think
Sportskeeda. Shout out Sportskeeda. I was gonna apply. I did apply to them, and then they. Oh, here we go. I got the list. We're rip roaring and ready to go.
Are we really?
Give me a number between 1 and 50, Phillip.
29.
29. The 29th ranked tag team is allegedly the greatest tag team of this century. John Morrison and The Miz.
Okay. I'm looking at the list now, too. So number 1 is New Day, 2 is Hardy Boys, 3 is the Hart Foundation, 4 Edge and Christian, 5 Deadly, 6 Legion of Doom. I guess we could just 7 Usos, New Age Outlaws are 8, Brothers of Destruction are 9, British Bulldogs are 10. Look, I love the New Day. They've been very successful since they've been a thing. They're not the greatest tag team of all time. They're not. You can make a point for the Legion of Doom, obviously. I've always said I think the Dudleys are the greatest tag team of all time. The multiple tag team championships they've racked up, not just in WWE, but all over the world. You know, anytime somebody says get the tables, you already know what's about to go down. Stuff like that. I mean, honestly, like, I don't even know what the Mega Powers are on this. I mean,
Disrespect of the Shield being number 22. I mean, they carry WWE for like a good 2
I don't know why
years.
the Undisputed Era is on here. They're I don't.
I mean, you got the New Day and the Shield, but yet you have DX as just Shawn Michaels and Triple H.
That's true. Well, yeah, because of the tag run of the mid 2000s and late 2000s. Yeah. If I were to redo this, I'd go Usos. Not Usos, I'm sorry. I'd go Dudley's at 1. Probably Hardy's at 2, Edge and Christian at 3. Or no. I'd move the Legion of Doom far more along. But I'd have Dudley's at 1 if that, yeah.
Team Hell Knows 27 is a travesty as well. Favorite tag team of all time.
Oh, absolutely. But it's interesting. It's interesting, man. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch have gotten married. How do you feel about that?
Good for them.
Good for them. Shout out. Isaiah Swerve Scott wins the North American Championship. Brandon, tell us about it.
Well, yes, Isaiah Swerve Scott is your new NXT North American Champion. This just kind of happened midway through the show. Wasn't exactly advertised. NXT does this a lot, doesn't do this a lot, where they normally will advertise all the matches ahead of time, all the championship matches. But Bronson Reed has had the championship for a little bit, had his little thing with Legado del Fantasma, but hasn't really been able to sink his teeth into a nice deep title reign. And then he just loses it to Swerve Scott, Hit Row. Big fan of what they've been doing, but I've also been a fan of Bronson Reed, and he was never really able to get out of the gates with Vince McMahon. He had the main event match, him, Karrion Kross. Is this the first step of him going to the main roster? Because it seemed like it was out of nowhere.
Maybe that's why Vince is going down there just for him. Huh? Shout out Swerve, man. I've been a fan of his for a very long time. The indie stuff and when he was running Defy, basically, man. So this was a win for the people. Shout out to him. Love Hit Row. Love all those guys. I'm very proud of Swerve. Swerve is in full effect, baby.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do. I mean, I've really been enjoying what Hit Row's been doing. Now NXT's maybe trying to take a playbook out of AEW with all the factions, but I'm not opposed to the factions. I know some people don't like all these factions, but I enjoy it because people, real life is filled with factions. Everyone has a faction. Yeah,
I have a faction. Do you have a faction?
I do have a faction.
What's the name of your faction?
I don't know. They haven't gotten that far ahead yet.
Okay.
We're the LWO.
I see. Anyway, this day in wrestling, Sunday Night Heat 2002. Trish Stratus defeats a returning Victoria. That's interesting. Let's go into the fan mail. Let's kind of speed this along.
Ooh, look at that. That's a hot day in wrestling history.
It is a hot day in wrestling history. No birthdays, no nothing, man. We spent like 45 minutes arguing about releases and whatnot.
Apparently, B. Priestley has signed with WWE officially, and her name is going to be Blair Davenport.
No, I'm a big fan of the Davenports. I know some Davenports. I love all the Davenports.
We're talking about Ric Flair, according to my boy Dave Meltzer. Ric Flair was stripped of the WCW World Title on this day.
Nobody. I don't care about Dave Meltzer. I don't go to him for news.
But you don't care about Ric Flair?
I love Ric
Actually,
Flair.
This wasn't by David Meltzer. This is from Brian Hoops. Shout out Brian Hoops.
Is it from the Wrestling Observer?
I mean, I cannot confirm nor deny.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ, all the emails are coming. All right, Alfie Lewis, you got the $1 Million Man. Damn, y'all legit. Yes, we are, bro. Yes, we are. We do big things around here. All right. Hootie Who 420.
Who do you?
Ricochet flying like that was prime 2015 Prince Puma and great interview with the $1 Million Man. Money, 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 money. Ha 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 ha. Thank you. I appreciate that. Jack of all trades. Great interview with DiBiase. Love that he said he had to show the kids how to take a bump. How'd you guys land that? Shout out Mike Miller, man. Mike Miller's the real deal. Love that dude. September 11th and 12th, Stockton Con back at the Stockton Arena. It'll be indoors. It'll be controlled AC, Brandon, so it won't be hot.
It's gonna be, and there's a lot of chairs, so my fat, you know what, can sit down.
Yes. We will
And
be
not
back
on the floor.
we will be back at Stockton Con. Believe you me. All right. Swisher Sweets, not wrestling related, but free Brit. She going through it right now. I believe he's talking about Britney Spears. What's going on with her?
I mean, we've already gone way too long on this podcast, but basically, you know, she's in a is it a courtship or whatever? We're basically
a
conservativeship. There we go. To where her father and people like kind of control her life, and she really isn't able to do what she wants because of some mental things that aren't exactly completely public, which obviously, you know, medical history and everything like that should be. She appealed it. But she doesn't want to go through a medical evaluation again because those things can be hell. And I think it just happened like a couple of days ago to where the judge kind of rejected it. And the real thing is like the father is, you know, not the best person in the world, very controlling. And that has led to Britney wanting out where she has to have a forced, was it IUD? Is it IUD? Whatever, you know, forced birth control. She has to like, you know, do all these different things where she probably doesn't want to, but yet she's still able of sound mind to work and generate, you know, millions and millions of dollars off her likeness and things like that.
Okay, for sure.
And Bill Cosby's free. So, you know, just the whole world's going to hell.
Bill Cosby is free. We could get into that topic here. We really could. But I don't think we have time for that because I have things to say. You know,
stay tuned to Curveballs and Chair Shots this weekend where we talk about Trevor Bauer. So we just got all the fun things to talk about.
Y'all talking about Bill Cosby? I'll stop by.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have, you know, enough to talk about with Trevor Bauer and his situation.
Okay. All right, Embride is Day X.
Mr. X.
Congrats on the Ted DiBiase interview. Really cool to hear stories from someone I watched as a kid. The Andre story was hilarious. Thank you. Digging the new theme as well. Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. I got another one coming. As we say farewell to Daly's Place for now, who do you think was AEW's greatest moment during their time over the last 15 months? I mean, they had a lot of cool stuff happen. Obviously, the Stadium Stampede was interesting for the first time. Brody Lee's rise to prominence in the company and becoming TNT champion, that's something very memorable and special that happened at Daly's Place. I mean, Shaq had a match. Mike Tyson showed up. I mean, it was just insane. It was just insane the stuff that they did at Daly's Place.
I mean, it's crazy to think about, but AEW's Dynamite's run has mostly been in an empty Daly's Place. I mean, they've been there for a year and a year and a half, and they've only been up for like 2 years. And so, I mean, the video package at the end was really nicely done. And the one that I pointed to because it's something that I watched, enjoyed, but also hated it and never watched again was the Brody Lee tribute show. I mean, one of the best tributes I've ever seen. It was hard to watch. It was sad, but it was also like I think the greatest thing that AEW's done.
Absolutely. 100%. Thoughts on Darby Allin appearing in Jackass 4 as for someone who's been a fan of the dumbassness since they first showed up on MTV when I was 17. I think it could be fun to see. I was never a big Jackass fan. I've never really cared for it.
Well, as the resident Jackass fan, I am excited to see what Darby Allin does.
I thought you were about to say something else.
Well, now I need to know what you think I was going to say.
I thought you were about to say, as the resident Jackass.
I mean, that's also the case, but...
All right, last one. Was it me or did I actually hear JR say WWE Dynamite at the end of the show? Yes, you did, brother.
Well, you know, we all make mistakes.
No, bro, I think it's a work, dude. I really believe it's a work.
I mean, when you've worked with a company for almost 30 years saying the same thing over and over and over again, and then, you know, it's just second nature.
Nah, bro, I really believe in the TK's like, all right, say those 3 letters. I really believe that's happening. I like how they cut it out of the little tribute at the end, though. The little tribute video, and like they just cut off JR's voice right at the end. I'm like, why would you guys do that? That's a part of your history. Brandon, what happened on Monday Night Raw?
Well, so many things happened on Monday Night Raw. They had a triple threat, whatever last time entry thingy on Raw. No Randy Orton. I don't exactly know why. No Randy Orton, but they ran the storyline of Riddle wanting to avenge his buddy of RK Bro, and he goes on and wins the Jobber Battle Royal. So good on Riddle for doing that. And then he goes on and faces AJ, Riddle, and what's the name? Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre ends up winning. And there you go. Drew McIntyre on to Money in the Bank. I mean, good for him. This is obviously his only way to get back in the title picture while Lashley is champion.
But he can't cash in on Lashley, though.
I mean, is that a thing?
He can't have any opportunities while Lashley is champion.
Well, maybe he's got to take it up with the commission.
Couple things here.
Take it up with Daddy DeVille.
Shout out, Miss DeVille. A couple things here.
Very underrated.
But look, this whole I'm doing it for Randy. Look, the way he says his name is annoying me. I'm glad he hurt his foot. Like that teaches you not to wear shoes or boots while you wrestle, you dumb human being. It just didn't land with me. Now, the rope assisted DDT he hit was pretty nice. The cutter that he threw was all right. But it just it's just not landing with me, you know?
Yeah, this is pretty much what's going on with the Riddle character. Is he's the buffoon. Sometimes it's funny, more oftentimes it's not. But then when it gets to like in ring, he delivers, and that's why when it comes to like with the fans coming back, next I'm really excited to see what they do next week for AEW with fans back. But then I'm probably even more so intrigued to see what WWE's fans do, because it hasn't been a good time for the product. And I think Vince is going to get a rude awakening on exactly who the people like and who they don't like.
Apparently it's going to be time to shake things up again from what I've been reading.
Apparently it's always time to shake things up because it's never working.
Yeah, Drew and the Money in the Bank, like, I've never realized how large he is. Like, he's a big human being. Because like back in the day, like he was still the same height, but like you got Wade Barrett, Kane, Taker, Show, all those Swagger, all those guys walking around. Now that the roster has gotten smaller in size and stature and height and all that other stuff, you see just how big Drew is. It's going to look awkward for him to be in the Money in the Bank.
Well, I had to go, since you brought it up, I had to go back in the archives because I did meet old Drew Galloway back on the indie scene. And your boy, who is not the most gifted of height person in the world, goes up to about his shoulders. I don't know if you can see that, Philip, but
Jesus
short.
Christ.
He's a big tall lad, and he's kind of leaning over a little bit too.
Yeah. I see. I think he was squatting a little bit too.
Hey, who's that?
Hey, that's that's the $1 Million Man.
It is the $1 Million Man.
You didn't want another one?
No, I'm good.
Oh wow.
Look at how skinny I am back then.
Was he wearing the Hall of Fame ring?
Nope.
He wore it for me.
Well, what was he in? I assume he was in the Hall of Fame at that, but it didn't look like he got the Rolly.
Yeah,
he's wearing the exact same WWE polo. I guess that's just what he always wears at the meet and greets.
Probably, man. That's just his thing.
Got to get your gimmicks in.
Got to get your gimmicks.
Hair's a lot darker. Might have been just dyed it that day.
Yeah. Kofi Kingston and MVP have a
shout out the Ascension.
Oh, okay. We're just going through your camera roll. Kofi Kingston and MVP.
No line. Sucks to see it.
Yeah, Kofi Kingston MVP. Tell us about their little segment.
Well, once again, Kofi and MVP get together for a little segment. No Xavier Woods because he's dead following the Hell in a Cell, and MVP still trying to get in Kofi's ear, but Kofi claps back, has a very serious promo, which is always when Kofi is at his best. And I very much enjoy this. Kofi going up against Lashley at Money in the Bank for the WWE title. And this is, as much as, New Day is kind of funny and they kind of get themselves over, the act for me is getting a little stale right now because they've been doing this for 7-8 years at this point. But when Kofi, stops it and he gets serious, that's why I really like the Kofi Mania stuff back in the day. This was another one of those types of serious promos.
Back in the day, it was 2 years ago.
Back in my day.
It does feel like a very long time because of
Back
COVID.
in my day, I used to walk uphill both ways in a snowy storm to get to class, Philip.
Used to walk 30 miles just to get to class. Rain, hail, sleet, snow, blizzard, all that. Used to have to cook porridge and cream of wheat for my 12 brothers and sisters.
You know the struggle.
Used to have to change the oil in mama's car because daddy couldn't because he was at work. Used to have to go to the outhouse when there was a line at the bathroom. Sometimes didn't even make it in the outhouse, had to go to the behind the tree. I'm sorry, guys. You guys don't want to know my life story. If you do,
get your Philip out here. Amen, my brother.
Ricochet and Morrison, the spot, yeah.
Ricochet jumps from the thing over to the barricade and kills John Morrison, who definitely did not land on a crash pad.
No, there was no crash pad. I didn't see one.
Of course not, because we didn't see. Of course, we didn't see it. It wasn't shown. There was no crash pad.
Absolutely, dude.
He landed on straight concrete on the USF arena floor.
Yes, that's what happened. Yeah.
Anyways, AEW happened. They started off with a banger of a tag team match. We get Eddie Kingston and Penta El Cero Miedo taking on what were I was told were the Young Bucks, but they look like Joe Exotic 1 and 2.
Yo, what are they doing? What? They're the Bucks, so they can get away with this. But what are we doing here?
I love it. I think they just look. They look ridiculous, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Kenny looked ridiculous too. Like what? I mean, Kenny Omega always looks ridiculous, but I'm just like, what are we doing? What are we doing, bro?
I love it. And they still deliver in the ring. Eddie Kingston and Penta get the win. So that means next week, they have a tag team title match. It's really fun. I mean, Eddie Kingston's obviously kind of the odd man out when it comes to like the work rate, but he is such a great, has a great connection with the fans. He's a great talker and that's what makes wrestling so great, is you don't need to be so athletic to have great matches.
Speaking of his talking ability, did you hear the promo where he buried WWE at the end of the show?
I did see the promo.
We listen to our fans, unlike the other channel. We respect you, unlike the other channel. We give a damn about what you have to say, unlike the other channel. Why didn't he just say the company's name, bro?
I mean, we all know.
JR said it. Why didn't he say it? JR said it on TV. JR's not afraid to say it.
I mean, he was promoting the other channel.
I mean, come on.
Come out to a WWE Dynamite show.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think that's always something AEW does really well. I mean, yeah, it's the underdog. It's the kind of the quote-unquote hipster brand, but they do a really good job at kind of cultivating like this feel of community and talking about the fans and doing it for the fans and yada yada yada. And like when WWE does it, like they probably do mean it, but when like AEW did it and they did at the very end with the video package and everything like that, it just felt more authentic than WWE.
They got tickets for All Out. We going to All Out?
I tell you, I had that Vegas trip planned last year. I don't really got anything going right now. If it's on Veterans Day, I'd assume I'd had the Monday off. Go to Chicago. Never been to Chicago. I always kind of wanted to go.
I've been to Chicago twice. Once had a layover at the O'Hara Airport. The Chicago pizza is delicious. Even just the airport pizza is great. And then I've
not a big deep dish guy, so maybe if I get authentic stuff, I'd change my mind.
It wasn't deep dish. And then I've driven through Chicago.
You're not doing Chicago pizza.
I've driven through Chicago. It wasn't the South Side, but it was like where the Sears Towers are and like the really like rural part of Chicago. It was beautiful, man. I loved it. So I'm down to go to Chicago. Go to Pro Wrestling Tees, just to order a shirt and wait there and see how the process is done. Even though it's just like a hot press.
Order a Bulletcast t-shirt.
Absolutely, please do. Please order one. What else happened on Dynamite this week?
Well, we got a Jungle Boy defeating Jack Evans.
Excuse me. That's Jungle Man now.
Sorry, Jungle Man.
If you know, you know.
But yes, Jungle Man beats Jack Evans, getting his 50th win in AEW. Just call him the San Francisco Giants because he's the first person to get 50 wins in AEW history.
Congratulations to Jungle Man. That's cool, man. I mean, that just goes to show you that Dark and Elevation, I guess they really do pay off. You'll be able to just pick up wins like that.
It's still real to me. Then we get a segment with Kenny Omega. He pretty much does like the exact same thing Roman did last week, where he just kind of announces that after he beat Jungle Man, or I guess he was Jungle Boy when he beat him. Now he's Jungle Man after recent developments. So Omega comes out and says he has no other challengers, so he's going to take some time off, but he'll still defend the other 20 titles he has in other companies, so see him there. And the Dark Order come out. Everyone in the Dark Order, Evil Uno really carrying the talking, and he says there's one man you haven't beat, and he's the number one contender. That's Hangman Page. No Page to be seen here, but Dark Order really hyping up the crowds behind them. They all know what they're doing, and then Hangman Page comes out at the a couple segments later, and they're in their little bar area, and he kind of says, "What the hell are you guys doing out there?" And they try to talk up Hangman, and Hangman didn't say anything after that, but they're starting the slow burn of eventually, I think, Kenny versus Page at All Out. Page, I mean, he's a conflicted babyface. We don't know what his exact emotions are, but I think they're on a good trajectory right now.
Are you still tapped into being the Elite?
I'll be honest, I have been slipping since someone got a job.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched, but I've seen like a little clip on Twitter, and at the end of I think it was this one or the last week's one, it was the AEW title and Hangman Page looking like very intensely at it. So I think they really are starting to build. Hey, if that's the match, are we going, dude?
I mean, the way that he is like caught fire, it just seems like it was inevitable, and
they have to do it because that's that's coming up, man. Oh.
I mean, they have all these like special TV shows, but if you're gonna do it to where it's the coronation of Page, it has to be at All Out. And I'm really intrigued to see what type of story they do, because this is like a legit, like real complex story that, in theory, was like cultivated when they were tag team champions last year.
Yeah,
so
man.
I really want to see what they can do with Page and his development.
Plus, like 2 years prior, he was in the match for the first ever AEW championship. So to come back 2 years later in that same building and win it, come on, man.
So I guess it's just a foregone conclusion. We're going to Chicago now.
Let's go to Chicago. Why not, dude? Let's do that. And then Stockton Con the next week. Let's just do it.
There you go.
Yeah. What else happened?
Let's see. What else did happen? We get
Kenny
Miro.
Omega looked stupid, by the way, with this facial hair. I'm sorry.
Out of the three, I mean, I actually thought Kenny, like, I think Kenny looked the most normal, like, because he has the hair and everything. But
Nick has the just the goatee. Like he has his Rick Steiner. Matt just has the mustache.
Nakazawa's got a mustache too.
Yeah,
everyone just looks.
Cutler needs some kind of weird facial hair now. Yeah, maybe we should do it.
I mean, I've been meaning to shave, so just tell me what you want, and maybe you'll
maybe just like the sideburns like Punk did, like no mustache or soul patch or goatee, just sideburns.
Full Wolverine look.
Yeah, mutton chops, bro.
Miro retains the TNT title over Brian Pillman Jr. Good match. Brian, showed some fire at the very end. Crowd was getting behind him, and I think this is definitely where the crowd in AEW helps the matches, because we all knew Miro was not going to win, but just the energy and being able to.
We knew Miro wasn't going to win?
Was going to win. Sorry. I'm just so. It's been such a long podcast, Phillip, that, Miro ends up tapping him out or passing him out. That makes total sense. But Miro retains in a good, surprisingly good match. I think Brian Pillman Jr. Has some serious upside, even though he's not there quite yet.
Absolutely, 100%.
Great analysis. Britt Baker and Reba take on Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero. Britt Baker taps out Vicky, which is the appropriate finish, and so the babyfaces get the win, but Nyla gets one up on Baker by putting her through a table. Apparently Reba has hurt her knee, so hopefully Reba gets all nice and better. So hopefully, that crutch is going to be a legit crutch once again. But it was not the best match in the world as you'd expect, but the finish and the storyline afterwards made sense.
Bro, they had a Guerrero wrestle on TV. They must be so happy. Do you think if Eddie was alive, do you think he would have gone over there?
I mean, now I need to do math, because Eddie would have been like
He was 50s. He was 38 when he passed, and that was well over 15 years ago. So how long ago?
I think he would be long gone wrestling.
So 16 plus 38, he'd be 54.
Yeah, it's a no-go.
I mean, you never know, man. You never know. I mean, it's something interesting. Rebel, now she won't be able to defend her. What championship is this? I'm trying to see what title she just won. The Love Alive Charity Women's Champion. There we go.
The most prestigious belt in our sport.
Absolutely. Apparently the founder is the Pope. D'Angelo De Niro.
Oh, that Pope.
Elijah Burke. You remember him?
I thought we were talking about like the actual Pope.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, the match, it was what it was. Britt Baker going through a table kind of saved it at the end. Got the crowd like, oh! Yeah.
Oh, in the main event, we have MJF taking on Sammy Guevara. Chris Jericho was on commentary the entire night here on Dynamite, and MJF and Guevara go back and forth. Really, really good match. The one thing I did not like the spot where Sammy jumps from the top rope over the barricade into the crowd over to MJF where there's chairs. And I mean, it was just asking for him to get knocked upside the head and, get a concussion and blood everywhere.
But he didn't.
He didn't, thank God. That just
he's
seems
a professional.
That seems super unnecessary. But besides that, crowd getting really behind Sammy, near falls galore. MJF really selling the knee. He blew it out on a middle top rope tombstone. The Pinnacle come out. Wardlow, lays out Jericho, yada, yada, yada. And we get a chair shot to the head. Very protected. Sammy gets the hands up and selling it. MJF gets the win.
Yes. The last Dynamite, the last WWE Dynamite in Daly's place sees Maxwell Jacob Friedman reign supreme over an Inner Circle member. Pinnacle, they're always on top. Yes, I like the match. They started chain wrestling at the beginning. I'm like, okay, all right. We don't see MJF do that a lot. I mean, MJF, he can really wrestle. Look at some of those Indies matches, bro. He knows what to do in between those ropes. He's a mathematician like your boy.
I like the match. I mean, the story of MJF, I mean, after the tombstone, so that's like the last 5 minutes of the match, really, MJF wasn't able to do anything, but he was still kicking out. Sammy probably could have won with the 630, but, screwy finish at the end. AEW's doing kind of a little bit more of those, maybe for my liking, but the visual of MJF, kind of standing tall at the very end of the last Dynamite at Daly's place, it made sense. Jericho and MJF were going to have a stare down or a face off next week, and they're kind of laying the groundwork for another MJF Jericho match. And Jericho, or it's going to be very similar to the MJF Cody thing that happened last year, 2 years, whenever the hell that was, where Jericho's probably going to jump through a lot of hoops just to get a match with MJF.
Yeah. That is a possibility. Hopefully they build that to All Out as well. Or no, I think the Pinnacle Inner Circle stuff will culminate it All Out. Oh my God, I just got a text message, Brandon. I'm scared.
For complimentary All Out tickets?
No, I'm being asked to be in a video shoot next week.
Ooh, what kind of video shoot?
Rap video. You gotta support your local Bay Area rappers. You feels me?
Superstar Spotlight. Who do you got?
I'll give it to Jungle Boy. I mean, the last couple of weeks he's been really, or Jungle Man. I'm sorry. He's been doing some really good work. 50th win. The title match against Kenny Omega. It was good. I like his finisher, the snare trap. It's an STF, but it works. He wasn't using that when he wrestled at APW, so I mean that's just something he's developed in the arsenal. So I'll give it to Jungle Man, former Jungle Boy.
I will keep it in AEW, and I will go with Penta. I think the pairing with him and Kingston, it's kind of random, but they've been doing a really good job in the past couple weeks, and it's going to probably culminate in a fantastic match against the Young Bucks for the titles.
Absolutely. Promo pick of the week.
Well, we got Ted DiBiase on the podcast this week, so might as well do a Ted DiBiase podcast. He's backstage, or a Ted DiBiase interview. He's backstage with Mean Gene 1989. I believe he's going to have a title match against the Ultimate Warrior or something or another like that. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much, if you type up Ted DiBiase promo on YouTube, it's the first thing that comes up. It's like legitimately like a retelling of all the different vignettes and all the different things that DiBiase has done up until that point. And he just, does a quick little promo, talk about how rich he is and how everyone has a price. He does a laugh, very straightforward to the point, and he goes home.
He did the gimmick in the interview, and I popped. Have you signed the petition to officially recognize DiBiase as $1 million or as a WWE champion?
Of course I have, because it's a travesty that he was not awarded. He had an actual title defense. He should be recognized.
I think he said he defended it against Bam Bam Bigelow. I was like, yo, what? Bam Bam Bigelow was having WWE title matches, bro, back in the day. I didn't know that. Yeah, man, that was just an interesting tidbit. So I guess he's been made aware of the petition and whatnot. And he said that his son, Ted Jr., was working with some people about it. I'm like, yo, that's what's up, bro. Shout out to the $1 million man. All right, our closed match pick of the week, CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship, Money in the Bank 2012. This is June 15th, 2012. I rewatched it earlier this morning. Really good stuff, man. Punk and Bryan, they had like a 3 pay-per-view stretch for the WWE Championship. Punk won all of them. They worked very well together. I mean, of course, two of Ring of Honor's best, two guys that really helped change the landscape of WWE for the smaller natural size competitor. And it's crazy, man, because Friday was the 10-year anniversary of the pipe bomb promo. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on this match? And what are your thoughts on the pipe bomb promo 10 years later?
Fantastic match. These are two of my favorites. This era is kind of like I don't know if to say peak of my fandom, but, kind of like my glory time where I was like, really getting back into watching wrestling. So, this match, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, two of the best of that time. And I mean, really, really damn good match. And the pipe bomb promo, I mean, back when that happened, I was watching wrestling, but I wasn't like the smart mark. And I honestly did not know what was anything CM Punk was really saying. So like for me, when I watched it live, it wasn't like this spectacular special thing that just blew my mind. Cause honestly, I didn't know what the hell he was even talking about, but very similar to the Austin 316 promo. That's why he wore the Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt during when he sat down on the ramp
in Vegas.
But I mean, it's iconic. I would probably put 316 above it just because of the run afterwards. But I mean, if CM Punk never cut that promo and he left and he didn't get the title, it's almost like what would have happened? What if he have just done what he's doing now and just watched Blackhawk and Cubs games for the rest of his life? So who knows?
Possibly, man. You never do know. I mean, it's funny, man. I mean, I remember I was really favoring TNA over WWE at that point in time. I know Truth was feuding with Cena for the title, and I just like really started watching Ring of Honor and stuff like that a couple months prior. And I remember he said Ring of Honor in the promo. I'm like, oh, I know what that is. Oh my god, it holds up. It holds up still to this day. You can go back and watch it, and you're just like, yeah, I understand what you're saying, man. Good stuff. All right, guys, follow us on Twitter at Bulletcast, Instagram, The Bulletcast, YouTube channel, The Bulletcast. Please email us, Bulletcast2 is the number 2, sweet as WET at gmail.com, 104.7 FMKAPU in Watsonville every Friday night from 11 p.m. to midnight. iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Spotify, Patreon. We're all over the damn place. West Coast Pro next week. Cruel Summer, it's coming, man. And then Get In Where You Fit In is next month. So they're just lining them up. I'll be at West Coast Pro next week. I will also be at UGWA the next day. So yeah, man, we're just making our rounds. I believe I have an interview scheduled for next week, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to try to get some other ones scheduled for us. I hope you guys enjoy the new Soulful Boom theme song. Stay clean, stay strong, stay safe. Get vaxxed and waxed. Diamonds are forever. So was the $1 Million Messiah.
Listen to us every time we live at the side. When you turn it on, it's just defining the mind. If you feel it, our opinions is great. When everything we moving now with the state, turn us on. If the feeling is right, every opinion now comes from
This has been the Bulletcast. Thank you for listening.